Hello, welcome to Val's Crafty Creations. Today I'll be sharing with you a Memorydex card that I've just completed and a few tips and tricks that you can use when putting your swaps together. So, my Memorydex card was a fairy theme. I had recently got from Jelly Bean these greeting cards, invitations. And I thought, well, how can I make that fit on a Memorydex card? It was just a little bit too large, but stay tuned. I'll show you how I use that. And I got out my new pop-up butterflies from the Dollar Tree. Thought those would be perfect. Brought out my bin of colorful flowers from Michaels. And my leaf trim. I got that from Oriental Trading. I have my iridescent gems from Walmart. My phrase stickers from Dollar Tree. And the tip on these is don't be afraid to take them apart, and you don't have to use them how they came. Be a little more creative. I even swapped out the button colors, and then I decided that I didn't want to use the button at all. Okay, and then we also have our net butterflies from the Dollar Tree. You'll see I used one of the yellow ones on my project. That's what I have left. I'm hoping to find some more of those at some point. I have this little paper pad from Michaels. Little Cottage Cuts fairy. I'll this all off to the side here. Base white paper that I'm going to start with. And I'll cut a 3-inch strip from the 11-inch side. And that's what I'll use for my bag topper. I'll start with that because I know I'm going to send some goodies. So I need a bag topper base. And then I have my other piece. So we're going to take our strip of paper and we're going to line it up with the mark that we have there. Because I know that that's going to fit the bag that I like to use for the Memorydex cards. And I go just a little hair over and trim that up. And easy math, we're going to put it right at the 1.5. Grab our scoring tool. Okay, and that's going to become our bag topper for our Memorydex card. Now, you could simply put a staple in it, or put some tape runner on it, and call it a day, and put the Memorydex card in there. It would be pretty plain and boring, and so here's some tips for you. You can take a flower, stick it on there. If you staple it, what I recommend is stapling backwards. So staple so that it's in reverse, and then that way you can stick a flower on it. That's pretty cool, but it's still a little boring. So why not take some yarn, wrap some yarn around it, couple, 3 times. That kind of jazzes it up a little bit. And I don't like to use the staples. I do occasionally. I've just got this little mini stapler from Michaels not too long ago. And so that jazzes it up. And what I like to do is offset the twine or ribbon, whatever I'm putting on. Just crisscross it, jazz it up, and then stick your flower on. And that's better than just a plain white bag topper. Or you can add a couple more flowers. So we've got all these flowers here. Add a couple more. Even something like tulle. We've got the tulle. We can tie that around and make a bow. or just tie it in a knot. And then stick our flower on. And that's pretty cool. It makes it a little bit more attractive rather than just the plain top and just one single flower. Our piece of paper, fold it in half over here. We're going to take this, and to jazz this up even a little bit more, what we're going to do is we're going to round our corners. And we're going to get our paper pad here, and we're going to look for a piece of paper. We'll just go with this one here. And then we can cut a strip, or we can even use the top piece off of the paper pad. Something like that. Just put that across. And then, of course this doesn't match, but take the flower. See? And that would cover up the staple. What I like to do is hide the seam in the front. So pretend this is wrapped around here, looking all nice and neat. And see, what I could even do is get a second one of the strips if that's what I want to use. And then, but yes, I recommend hiding the seam in the front, and then you don't have an ugly seam in the back. Blue paper to jazz up the white base. And then I added the flowers. And I used the strip from the top of the paper pad as a little banner poking out here. And I used my gems. So let me show you how you can attach something like this to a project and hide your pop dots. So I'm going to take one, and you know they all come with these ugly wires, all that, take that. So if you want to add it to a project, look, see, a lot of times they have all these little strings, and get yourself some kind of wire cutters and just snip that off. And then I take some pliers, smash that down. Don't want any sharp edges, sharp wires poking out. Take some double-sided tape and put that across. And that's going to be more invisible than the foam dots. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to peel off the backing from the double-sided tape, and we're going to take a couple flowers from our bin, and we're going to stick the flower on each side here, just as a base. So I've stuck 2 flowers on, and now I'm going to take one of the little pop-up squares from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take one of these little rectangles, and cut that in half. And now on either side of the bump, I'm going to put one of my pieces. And now my adhesive isn't showing through the mesh butterfly. And then what I can do is, depending on how I decorate my bag topper, I can put that on there. I could put it on the angle, either direction. I'll wrap some ribbon or tulle, and that's going to make a much more attractive bag topper. And here's my Memory-Dex card. I guess that was a fairy theme. Oh, and here's another tip. I have the iridescent bags from Walmart that I've shared before, and I took the iridescent bag and I cut it down and I wrapped it around my white paper. And so instead of just a plain white background, I now have the iridescent bag as my background. And it was just right. what I did on this one is I just went ahead and used paper from the paper pad, wrapped it with some of the trim and my flowers, and this is where I used one of the Dollar Tree butterflies, and I just popped that up on foam tape. And so instead of just sticking a flat sticker on, I think popping it up, adding a few gems, that makes a really pretty, just simple bag topper. It doesn't have to be complicated. And here is my Memory Decks card, because it's a fairy theme. I used that die. And I also took a piece of that bag and I sandwiched it between 2 layers and made her wing rather than just open. And it's cool if you catch the light just so, there's a reflection on the background and it makes it look like there's a second wing. It's pretty cool. Here's one of the Dollar Tree butterflies stuck in there. Some of my flowers. A little greenery that I just got from Amy. Another butterfly. Vintage photo as the ground. So I have grounded my image here. It's not just floating. And I've created a scenery on my card. And here's the little banner with the believe. I cut it a little shorter, and like I said, I raised it up still, but I don't have the cardboard part, and a few gems around. And I think it really turned out nice. Just a simple little fairy card. So with the greeting card, I made my own card. I used some of the blue paper from the pad in the back for my background. Sprinkled a few gems, my fairy dust. And I have popped it up. And I'm going to write my note in there. And for my goodies, I thought I'd share this other tip with you. Something I'd like to do. So I could just grab one of these packages, throw it in the envelope, and that would be my goodie. Or I could take it and cut a few strips off and throw that in there and share that with my swap partner. But what I thought I would do is I figured out that because there's 260 pieces, I divided up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off 5 rows off of this one. Rows from this one. Rows from here. 1, 2, 5. And I'm going to cut 5 rows from this one. Okay. We now have equivalent of a whole package, a sticker of gems. But we can send our partner 4 different colors. Okay, and then what we're going to do is going to tack down. We'll just tack down the gems on a piece of paper. And if it hangs off the side just a little bit, we'll just make it even. That looks a lot neater. We just trim away the backing sheet. And I just make sure there's space nice and neat. So a good time to look for any gems that are damaged. Don't send your partner damaged gems. Look over it, send something nice.